A movement is never made up of one person. There's a leader, a light, a visionary, an inspiration. But that leader needs the followers, the teachers, the managers, the masses. And of course, our Schenirer do what she did, as it's been so obvious in the Sherman. I think sometimes the leaders get too much attention and we don't appreciate correctly the followers. So I just want to dedicate a session or two to talk about some of her Talmidot in a general sense. One gets a sense that the girls, the Beis Yaakov girls, then were so extremely dedicated, idealistic, really living for something, that they were imbibed with a real love for Torah, including their own studies, to support Torah, to have husbands who were Talmidei Chachamim and learned Kovei Itim, but for sure their own studies were chaviv to them and beloved to them. They were full of good midas, very tamimistic, pure, innocent, lots of chesed, that they live with a sense of sisterhood for other Beis Yaakov girls. And one wishes that we could bring back that spirit into Klal Yisrael. Where is that freshness, that love, that excitement, that warmth, that community that they built, that she built for her students, was absolutely amazing. And of course, those Talmidot, as we said in other classes, even at 14 and 15 and 16, would go to the surrounding areas and they became the teachers, dressing up in long skirts, trying to look older, and Sarah would help them and support them. And as the movement grew and grew and grew, they took on more and more senior roles, these girls, and eventually, after the war, they came to Eretz Yisrael, to other places in Europe, to the United States, of course, and they founded the whole Beis Yaakov movement, which has continued ad yom hazeh, and perhaps a different type of form. But they were real pioneers, and there were many who had been trained by Sarah themselves. I know women who went to, I think it's Vichna Kaplan's Beis Yaakov, I believe, in Borough Park, and they remember her, and Shimshon Pincus's mother, Noach Weinberg's sister, Shimshon Pincus's mother, right? Rosen Pincus was a founding teacher there, a central teacher there. She happened to have gone to study from America. We took Montesio Weinberg Center from the United States to learn in the Krakow Seminary. I think she was the only one. He said you have to make her very great because she has to deal with, he saw his 60-year-old daughter would be one who would have to teach the girls in America. He perceived that amazing perception. And I would just go one anecdotal story just to show the types of lives they had, just to shed a little bit of light. So this was with no less than the Panovich. There was after the war in young Israel of the time, there were and this is the beginning of this is a famous story. So everybody knows this story, but here it sounds a little bit more explained. There's a group of affluent men from Los Angeles. They visited Panovich, and they were very inspired and admired Rav Kahneman, who, as so many did. I think maybe our next series will be about the Panovich, perhaps. And he delivered an eloquent presentation about Jewish education in Eretz Yisrael. And they were touched, and they said they will build a building. They'll build another building. But they had one condition. The young people who would attend the yeshivas must have no payas and no beards. Right? They didn't like that. So the Panovich promised. And they trusted him and financed the construction of a beautiful, comfortable building. Okay. And that building was occupied by Beit Avot that was for girls in the spirit of Beis Yaakov. This is the story. It's a well-known story, but I never saw it well written so well. But now let's continue. And the person who took over that school was someone named Rivka Engelard, who eventually became Rivka Hoffman. And she had already been involved in Europe with educating, and she was an unbelievable educator. And this was a school for Yatomot. Post the war, there were many, many orphan girls, and she was devising strategies, and she was mamish a mother to these 70 girls. Physical needs, educational needs, taught, took pride in their achievements, loved knowledge and to be educated, teaching about mitzvahs. And she placed them in schools. Some of them became teachers themselves. She was always monitoring their achievements. She had 70 daughters. She took Shmo. She helped place them in jobs. She helped be mishadich them, arrange their shidduchim, marry them off. A labor of many years. She was always fundraising, collecting funds. And they were always there for them whether needed. Meal times, late at night, Shabbos table always. And as sometimes happens with busy women, she was neglecting her, this we're saying the story not halach lamaisa, just to teach you what it was. She began neglecting her family under the weight of her responsibilities. Her husband, Rabbi Hoffman, himself a great scholar and devoted educator. I'm wondering if that's Shlomo Hoffman, who's become quite famous today. Don't know. He went to Rav Kahana, we went to the Panovich Rav, and he said his wife has to resign. It's too much. Her job is claiming so much of her time that she has very little left for her own family. She loves her work and cares for the girls dearly, but she must be a mother to her old children. So what did the Panovich Rav say? Of course, I understand. We'll find somebody else. The Rav was too distressed to accept the resignation. Do you know what it means to turn a child into an orphan? Can you imagine turning more than 70 children into orphans all at once? That was what the Panovich Rav said to Rav Hoffman. He couldn't endure to see this. Rav Hoffman couldn't endure to see the anguish of this great father of thousands of children. The Panovich Rav, they say when he died, he was feeding 17,000 people through his efforts besides the yeshiva. And she stayed there for many years until she had to, because of failing health, she had to leave. So that was, of course, Rivka Englard Hoffman. Rivka Hoffman, of course, was a great student of Sarah Schenirer. And that just gives one sense of types of people she built. And we'll finish next week, Bezrat Hashem, with some more about her Talmidot.